Troubleshooting nuisance tripping in arc fault circuit breakers requires a systematic approach. Firstly, check the arc fault circuit breaker settings. Ensure the arc fault circuit breaker is set to the correct sensitivity level for the circuit it is protecting. Some arc fault circuit breakers have adjustable sensitivity settings, so verify that the tripping threshold is not set too low, as this can lead to false positives. Secondly, inspect the circuit wiring. Examine wire connections at both ends of the circuit, looking for loose, damaged, or oxidized connections. Check for arcing or sparking at connections, outlet boxes, or light fixtures. Use a voltage meter to ensure proper voltage levels and continuity along the circuit. Thirdly, identify potential arc sources. Look for motors, compressors, or other devices that can generate electrical noise or arcs. Inspect for loose or damaged appliances or components that could cause arcing. Check for any insulation damage or fraying on wires or cables. Fourthly, rule out electromagnetic interference, commonly called EMI. EMI from nearby sources, for example, power tools, fluorescent lights, can sometimes trigger false trips. If possible, temporarily disconnect any suspected sources of EMI from the circuit. Fifthly, check for a loose neutral connection. A loose neutral connection can cause voltage imbalances and nuisance tripping. Inspect the neutral wire connections at both the panel and the device end. Sixthly, test with a known good load. Disconnect all loads from the circuit and connect a known good load. If the arc fault circuit breaker still trips with a known good load, it may be faulty. Seventhly, inspect for overheating. Touch the arc fault circuit breaker and associated wiring to check for excessive heat. Overheating can indicate a problem with the arc fault circuit breaker or the circuit it is protecting. Eighthly, consult the manufacturer's technical support. If the above troubleshooting steps do not resolve the issue, contact the arc fault circuit breaker manufacturer for technical support. They may provide additional insights or troubleshooting tips. Here are some additional tips. Use a high-quality arc fault circuit breaker from a reputable manufacturer. Avoid overloading circuits, as this can put additional stress on arc fault circuit breakers. Keep arc fault circuit breakers away from sources of heat, moisture, or vibration. If all else fails, consider replacing the arc fault circuit breaker with a standard circuit breaker to eliminate the nuisance tripping. When dealing with electrical circuits, always ensure the power is turned off at the main breaker before beginning any inspection or repair. Use appropriate personal protective equipment, including safety glasses and insulated gloves. Double-check all connections to ensure they are secure and properly torqued. Follow all applicable electrical codes and regulations to ensure safety and compliance. Be aware of the types of arc faults that arc fault circuit breakers are designed to detect. There are three main types. Firstly, series arc faults occur when there is a break or loose connection in a single wire. Secondly, parallel arc faults occur when there is an arc between two conductors, such as a hot wire and the neutral or ground wire. Thirdly, ground arc faults occur when there is an arc between a hot wire and a grounded surface. Arc fault circuit breakers are designed to detect these types of arcs and trip the circuit to prevent electrical fires. If you suspect a problem with an arc fault circuit breaker, it is important to troubleshoot the issue to determine the root cause. Ignoring nuisance tripping can lead to unsafe conditions and potential electrical hazards. Consider the age of the arc fault circuit breaker, as they can degrade over time and become more prone to nuisance tripping. If the arc fault circuit breaker is old, it may be worth replacing it with a new one. Ensure that the replacement arc fault circuit breaker is compatible with the existing electrical panel and circuit wiring. Consult the electrical panel specifications to determine the correct type and size of arc fault circuit breaker to use. When installing a new arc fault circuit breaker, follow the manufacturer's instructions carefully. Make sure to properly connect the wires to the arc fault circuit breaker and tighten the screws to the specified torque. After installing the arc fault circuit breaker, test it to ensure that it is functioning properly. Use the test button on the arc fault circuit breaker to simulate an arc fault and verify that the arc fault circuit breaker tripped. If the arc fault circuit breaker does not trip, there may be a problem with the arc fault circuit breaker or the wiring. In some cases, nuisance tripping can be caused by faulty appliances or devices connected to the circuit. Try disconnecting appliances one by one to see if the nuisance tripping stops. If you identify a faulty appliance, have it repaired or replaced. Another potential cause of nuisance tripping is shared neutral circuits. Shared neutral circuits occur when multiple circuits share a single neutral wire. This can cause voltage imbalances and lead to nuisance tripping. If you suspect a shared neutral circuit, consult a qualified electrician to inspect the wiring and make any necessary corrections. Be aware that some types of lighting, such as LED and compact fluorescent lights, can generate harmonics that can interfere with the operation of arc fault circuit breakers. If you are using these types of lights, try replacing them with traditional incandescent lights to see if the nuisance tripping stops. If you have made any changes to the electrical wiring in your home, such as adding new outlets or circuits, be sure to inspect the work to ensure that it was done properly. Faulty wiring can cause arc faults and nuisance tripping. When troubleshooting nuisance tripping, it is important to keep accurate records of your findings. Note the date and time of each tripping event, as well as any appliances or devices that were in use at the time. This information can help you identify patterns and potential causes of the nuisance tripping. If you are not comfortable working with electrical wiring, it is best to consult a qualified electrician. An electrician can diagnose the problem and make any necessary repairs. Remember that electrical work can be dangerous, and it is important to take precautions to avoid injury. Always turn off the power to the circuit before working on it, and use appropriate personal protective equipment. In addition to the tips mentioned earlier, consider the following when troubleshooting nuisance tripping in arc fault circuit breakers. Check for loose connections at the arc fault circuit breaker itself. Over time, connections can loosen due to vibration or temperature changes. Use a screwdriver to tighten the screws in the arc fault circuit breaker terminals, but be careful not to over-tighten them. Inspect the wiring inside the electrical panel for any signs of damage or corrosion. Look for frayed wires, cracked insulation, or rust on the terminals. If you find any damage, have it repaired by a qualified electrician. Be aware that some arc fault circuit breakers are more sensitive than others. If you have tried all of the other troubleshooting steps and the nuisance tripping persists, consider replacing the arc fault circuit breaker with a less sensitive model. However, be sure to choose an arc fault circuit breaker that is still compliant with all applicable electrical codes and regulations. If you are using a surge protector on the circuit, try disconnecting it to see if the nuisance tripping stops. Surge protectors can sometimes cause arc fault circuit breakers to trip. Make sure that all of the outlets and switches on the circuit are properly grounded. Ungrounded outlets and switches can cause arc faults and nuisance tripping. If you have any metal electrical boxes, make sure that they are properly grounded. Grounding metal electrical boxes helps to prevent electrical shocks and reduce the risk of arc faults. Check for any staples or nails that may have been driven through the wiring. Staples and nails can damage the insulation on the wires and cause arc faults. If you find any damaged wires, have them repaired by a qualified electrician. Ensure that the wiring is properly sized for the circuit. Undersized wiring can overheat and cause arc faults. Consult the National Electrical Code, known as NEC Table 310.15b16 to determine the correct wire size for the circuit. Be aware that some appliances, such as older refrigerators and washing machines, can generate high levels of electrical noise that can interfere with the operation of arc fault circuit breakers. If you suspect that an appliance is causing the nuisance tripping, try plugging it into a different circuit. If you have any dimmer switches on the circuit, try replacing them with standard switches to see if the nuisance tripping stops. Dimmer switches can sometimes cause arc fault circuit breakers to trip. If you have any extension cords on the circuit, try disconnecting them to see if the nuisance tripping stops. Extension cords can sometimes cause arc fault circuit breakers to trip, especially if they are damaged or overloaded. If you have any temporary wiring, such as holiday lights, make sure that it is properly installed and in good condition. Temporary wiring can be a source of arc faults if it is not properly maintained. Be aware that some types of arc fault circuit breakers are more prone to nuisance tripping than others. Dual-function arc fault circuit breakers, which combine arc fault protection with ground fault protection, are sometimes more sensitive than standard arc fault circuit breakers. If you have a dual-function arc fault circuit breaker, consider replacing it with a standard arc fault circuit breaker. If you have any doubts about your ability to troubleshoot nuisance tripping in arc fault circuit breakers, it is always best to consult a qualified electrician. An electrician can safely and effectively diagnose the problem and make any necessary repairs. Here are some additional considerations. If the arc fault circuit breaker trips immediately after being reset, there is likely a persistent fault in the circuit. Do not repeatedly reset the arc fault circuit breaker without investigating the cause of the tripping. Repeatedly resetting an arc fault circuit breaker can damage the arc fault circuit breaker and create a fire hazard. When troubleshooting nuisance tripping, it is important to use a process of elimination. Start by disconnecting all of the appliances and devices on the circuit, and then gradually reconnect them one by one until the arc fault circuit breaker trips. This will help you identify the source of the problem. If you have multiple arc fault circuit breakers in your home, try swapping them to see if the nuisance tripping follows the arc fault circuit breaker. This can help you determine if the arc fault circuit breaker itself is faulty. If you have any smoke detectors in the circuit, make sure that they are not causing the nuisance tripping. Smoke detectors can sometimes generate electrical noise that can interfere with the operation of arc fault circuit breakers. Try disconnecting the smoke detectors to see if the nuisance tripping stops. If you have any carbon monoxide detectors in the circuit, make sure that they are not causing the nuisance tripping. Carbon monoxide detectors can sometimes generate electrical noise that can interfere with the operation of arc fault circuit breakers. Try disconnecting the carbon monoxide detectors to see if the nuisance tripping stops. If you have any security systems in the circuit, make sure that they are not causing the nuisance tripping. Security systems can sometimes generate electrical noise that can interfere with the operation of arc fault circuit breakers. Try disconnecting the security system to see if the nuisance tripping stops. If you have any home automation systems in the circuit, make sure that they are not causing the nuisance tripping. Home automation systems can sometimes generate electrical noise that can interfere with the operation of arc fault circuit breakers. Try disconnecting the home automation system to see if the nuisance tripping stops. If you have any solar panels on your home, make sure that they are not causing the nuisance tripping. Solar panels can sometimes generate electrical noise that can interfere with the operation of arc fault circuit breakers. Consult a qualified solar panel installer to inspect the solar panel system and ensure that it is properly grounded and connected. If you live in an area with frequent power outages or voltage fluctuations, consider installing a whole house surge protector. A whole house surge protector can help protect your electrical system from damage caused by power surges and voltage fluctuations. If you have any electric vehicles, ensure that the charging equipment is compatible with the arc fault circuit breaker. Some electric vehicle charging equipment can generate electrical noise that can interfere with the operation of arc fault circuit breakers. Consult the electric vehicle charging equipment manufacturer to determine if any modifications are needed to prevent nuisance tripping. If you have any well pumps, ensure that they are properly grounded and connected. Well pumps can sometimes generate electrical noise that can interfere with the operation of arc fault circuit breakers. Consult a qualified well pump installer to inspect the well pump system and ensure that it is properly grounded and connected. If you have any generators, ensure that they are properly grounded and connected. Generators can sometimes generate electrical noise that can interfere with the operation of arc fault circuit breakers. Consult a qualified generator installer to inspect the generator system and ensure that it is properly grounded and connected. If you have any swimming pools or hot tubs, ensure that the electrical equipment is properly grounded and connected. Swimming pool and hot tub electrical equipment can sometimes generate electrical noise that can interfere with the operation of arc fault circuit breakers. Consult a qualified swimming pool or hot tub installer to inspect the electrical equipment and ensure that it is properly grounded and connected. If you have any electric fences, ensure that they are properly grounded and connected. Electric fences can sometimes generate electrical noise that can interfere with the operation of arc fault circuit breakers. Consult a qualified electric fence installer to inspect the electric fence system and ensure that it is properly grounded and connected. Remember that arc fault circuit breakers are designed to protect against electrical fires, so it is important to take nuisance tripping seriously. If you are unable to resolve the issue yourself, consult a qualified electrician